Yeah, cool. Okay, just quickly, this is the second time I've managed to present here. Peter's had me back, so thank you, Peter, for that. Just a bit of background on me. I am originally from the music industry. About 8 years ago, I moved online, and in the last couple of years, I've been working on Amazon as a seller in the UK, US, and Europe. In that time, I teamed up with Anthony Vaughan. He's doing a presentation tomorrow on Europe. And basically, we run a series of meetups in LA, London, and now San Diego, and we also host some webinars. Okay, so this is the face that we all get after a 1-star review. Sometimes it's not fair. As you can see, Anthony's just sitting over there. It looks like him. Say hello, Anthony. Okay, so we always seem to think that, we're always being told the customer is always right, and quite often they're not right, but we have to play that game, because if we don't, we end up look like we're throwing a hand grenade at our own business. So you know pretty much not to argue with Amazon's customers. So we have to kind of find a way of working with Amazon's customers and trying to get to a stage where we can reduce these issues with negative reviews, especially with what's going on in the current climate. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of ways, or 4 ways of interaction. So they can send you a message, they can raise a public product question, post-sale they can leave seller feedback, and they can leave a product review. We'll go more into this in a little while. So let's talk about negative reviews. So I don't know if anyone in the audience here has managed to get any negative reviews by Amazon? No? How I heard from laughing, no, I take it as that. Okay, so what we can do, which is quite difficult, is to change the perception from the customer's point of view and get the reviews revised. It's not always easy, but there is a point where it can be done in some cases, but it's a lot of hard work. We can also flip good feedback into product reviews, which we'll go into in a little while. So let's quickly talk about the good 3 bad star review. Okay, so it's a bit small here. But you can see here, this is a 3-star review. This salad spinner is a fantastic, and the push design with the lock is awesome. Now, we know that you've got your top reviews and you've got your most critical reviews. So in an ideal scenario, it's nice to have your top critical reviews to be something like this. Obviously, it's against terms of service to vote these things up, but I'm just saying, putting it out there, wouldn't it be nice just to land in that kind of position? So I'll leave that bit with you. Ideally as well is that when you can if you can get to that stage where you're changing the opinion for your customer, it could also mention in the review, if they go and revise it, that you gave great customer service. So there's an advantage that can be played here into having your top critical review being actually the good bad review. So I'm going to talk about something that Amazon hasn't banned just yet. So a lot of you guys, you use email feedback programs? Yeah? Okay, so what we're going to discuss here is we're going to talk about different ways forward of how to manage this. So there's a few companies now, I've got no affiliation with them. You've got the good, the bad, the ugly, but they all do the same kind of thing. So obviously you can pick your own automation software of choice. So let's look at tracing the reviews in the traditional way. First email that gets sent out. Dear Danny, do the review. Lots of love, Anthony. Second review. Dear Danny, I've been staring at your seller profile for days now, but still no 5-star review. I'm waiting by my inbox. Please respond. Lots of love, Anthony. And there's a third email as well. Okay, I'm now standing outside your house, so it's getting a bit ridiculous. And obviously pulled the information from Seller Central. So 2 things are going to happen here. One, they're going to get on the phone to Amazon. The second thing, a restraining order is going to be put into place. Okay. So here's a letter from Seller Support. Hello, Anthony. We've suspended your Amazon account and are sitting on all your cash. We hope you have an amazing day, Jeffy Bizzle. And you can also rate the suspension at the bottom. Okay. So I'm saying that in jest, but can you imagine there are people out there who literally are chasing the customer and they're just after the review. They're not thinking about what's in it for the customer. So we can look at educating the customer in what I call the non-traditional way. So here we can say mail sequences are not just for reviews, they can be there for education. Testing is very important, and a customer comes in all different shapes and sizes. So let's just break these down just for a moment. Starting with the customer in different shapes and sizes. A lot of people hate to be marketed to, and they're Amazon sellers as well. But they are not their customer, and you'll be very surprised. I'm not saying that everyone loves to be marketed to, but just bear in mind is that your opinion doesn't really count. What counts is the testing. What comes back as those results are the ones that are going to benefit you, not opinions. And we all know what opinions are like. Everyone's got an arsehole, and so everyone's got an opinion as well. Okay, so what are we trying to teach the customer here? Well, we're not going to try and teach them to suck eggs for sure, right? But what we want to do is get them to understand how to use the product, get them up to speed quite quickly, and we can look to counter any arguments within inside the sequence. And also make yourself available 24/7 for the customer, or Amazon's customer, because that starts to build trust. So how many emails should we send? So we send what's absolutely necessary. This is going to be down to the complexity of the product. And obviously, if you're doing a spatula, I think one email generally is enough, you know. Okay, so what kind of content can we include in these email sequences? So in this example here, we're using an infographic. And so with that, we're just keeping it very, very simple, getting straight to the point so the customer can glaze over it. They understand what the product's for. Okay? The reason I've done this is because I was finding that the people were using our product for different things and making knee-jerk reactions and leaving negative reviews. And they're buying it for some sort of magic sauce, and it doesn't even work for that. So by sending out this as the sale was just made, it gives the opportunity for the customer to take a look at it and go, actually, this doesn't work for me. I'm actually going to cancel this order. I prefer someone to cancel an order than go through that whole process to try and remove a negative review for a product that, you know, they can't use it for. Okay? Also in that email, I would also talk about, you know, offer them to come back to me, so humanising with the customer. And again, as I mentioned, it gives the customer a chance to change their mind. So in the second email, again, it's an infographic. It's based around the rechargeable aspect of it. Believe it or not, I get loads of emails regarding the recharging process a few days after the sale. It's on the packaging, it's on the listing, yet they still ask. So this is an important factor of getting it timed and sending it out. Okay? So again, we're offering the customer to reach out with any questions, and we're at this stage still focusing on educating the customer. Now there is a third email, believe it or not. Okay, so in the third email, we have a happy face. So we can send the customer back to the account feedback, and if they'll leave a good product review, for example, we can then ask them to flip that into a product review. Now, we've got a frown face as well. So what happens there, the customer come direct to us, and so we can deal with any knee-jerk reactions and solve their problems in the event to try and hold back on leaving a negative review. So what was the outcome of this? So again, product is technical, so we delivered in bite-sized chunks. We had customers who were buying it for the wrong reasons, so we tried to adjust that, and the packaging was not big enough to articulate the education, so we could feed that information over the free mails. So we also got compliments from the customers in both reviews and account feedback to give them the education process. So we also had a reduction on knee-jerk reactions. We could tell by that when they were coming back and they're angry at me and they want to, you know, send firebombs my way, and then I can email them back quite quickly, and then they go, oh, actually, yeah, sorry, I was just having a bad day. So you can address things that way. So to break this down, I've done it in numbers here. So we've done 2 sets of sequences. So there was 1,000 units over a 2 email sequence, and we've done 1,000 units over a 3 email sequence. So you can see here we've got 8 negative reviews on the two email sequence, which is 0.8%. And then on the 3 email sequence, we reduced that down to 1 negative review, and that's come out as 0.1. So even though this is done on a micro level, on a macro level, this makes a big, big difference. So we're going on here about reviews matter. So we know that Amazon calculates the product style ratings using a machine learned model instead of a raw data average. So they include other factors, include helpfulness and a few other algorithm aspects that we don't particularly know about at this stage. So what I've done is I'm trying to give you a raw breakdown by using the raw averages. You can see on the column on the left-hand side, you've got an average rating of 4.0. Okay, so I've not included any of the additional algorithm aspects. And then on the other side, you've got 3.4. Now, the only difference between these two is that the bottom one there is a 4-star and this is a 1-star. So if you got into a stage where we currently are at the moment with reviews, it's going to be very difficult to start getting reviews organically. So it's very important that we try and manage this early doors. So if you've just launched a product and you've got a 4.0 on one side, but then you switch that around and you've got a 1-star review, you're going to start getting to a stage where it's going to be difficult to start selling your product, because as that goes down, it loses customers' trust. Yeah? So we know that the skies are falling at the moment with what's going on with reviews, especially stateside at the moment. So what we do know about this is you can use coupon codes. We can also know that customers are allowed to leave reviews, but can they be combined? Jeff says, no, they can't. Okay. So with that in mind, we've got to look at, well, if we're limited on that side of the fence, what can we do for getting reviews either removed or adjusted and changed? So here's a 1-star review. So I have to come over here because... So this is from a lady called Emily, spelt in a very wonderful way. At the top there, she says, doesn't work. And then she goes on to express herself even further by saying, these don't really work. Okay? The good thing about it, at least 2 customers found that useful. I'm with her though. Okay. So identifying the customer behind the negative review. So let's say we're going to try and look for Emily at this stage. So what we can do is click on the review to view their profile. So if we don't understand who the person's name is, it might be DM for Danny McMillan or whatever, we need to try and find that customer's name. It's not always possible. So if there's a wish list there, then there's a chance you can click through to that and you can see the customer's name in most cases. Failing that, sometimes in the bio, if you click the see more, it drops down, it has an email address. Now, I'm not encouraging people that you should contact them via email, but they might be dannymcmillan@gmail.com, for instance. You can use that as a search. So you can take that information and you can look that up in Seller Central, which is hard work. Has anyone tried to attempt this before? Where you have to scrape out all the data and then you have to put it into a spreadsheet, and then from the spreadsheet you have to do a search in the field. Now, if you're using an email sequence program or a stats program that manages all your like your ASINs and all like the profit margins, quite often they've got a good interface there where you can search by customer name. From that, you can take that and move that into the second phase. So customer communications, a couple here. Calling the customer directly is obviously not advisable, but you can email the customer. So in this case, I could email Emily and say, we don't understand what your review is about, in a very nice way. We can say, you can keep the product. We will give you a full refund, no worries. All we want to do is understand what you're trying to come across with in that review, because it doesn't help the Amazon customer. You say it don't work and then it doesn't really work, and we don't even know what you're using it for. So could you articulate that? Now, what are the success rates for that? They're pretty shit, right? They tend to not come back. So then what we have to do now then, we have to move it to the next phase. So let's just say we're going to raise a ticket with seller support, and we want Seller Central to deal with it. That goes through to the performance team. So let's look at a few of the guidelines that I have, and bear in mind they are only guidelines, yeah? So how can we write a great review? The first thing it says, they put the why. It doesn't really work, doesn't really explain the why. And then you've got be specific. It doesn't really work. So that's not really being specific either, is it? So then you've got not too short, not too long. Written review should be at least 20 words. It doesn't really work. Doesn't really kind of fit the remit there. Be sincere. We believe all helpful information can inform our customers' buying decisions. So it's informed no one of anything. So I kind of broke that down and I send it off to the Seller Central. And then I get this back. This one's from Rudy J. Okay, so Rudy goes on and shows me the guidelines again, tells me we can't remove the review, right? Even though we've gone through that situation with the guidelines. So I thought, I know what I do. I'll send it off again. This time, Leonard comes back again, all cut and paste. So we're not getting any real help here from Seller Central. So it's very difficult to get that stage of trying to get reviews removed. So the point of this presentation is, how do we manage everything on the front end? You're never ever going to stop the 1-star reviews and the knee-jerk reaction, but how can you manage that out of your business? So to wrap things up here, so how do you ask for a review without asking for a review? And are the top 500 reviewers more important now? What about reviews in Europe? What happens if your unverified reviews get deleted? And what will Amazon implement next? So let's start with the top one now. So not me, of course, but I understand there are people out there which are testing these things. And so what they're doing now is, instead of using coupon codes, they're still looking to get feedback from the Amazon community, as they call it. So what they're doing is they're making relationships with the top 500, top 1,000 people, and then they're sending out samples which would like these people to test, and if they like them, obviously they're more than welcome to share the knowledge and the wealth around that. So what you're dealing with is the moral compass of that reviewer. So the review conversions are going to be a lot lower now, but that's what people tend to be testing. What about reviews in Europe? Well, nothing's really changed as of yet in Europe, but people are applying the tactics they're using in the US to roll out to Europe and other territories as well. Okay? Again, what happens if your unverified reviews get deleted? Well, we've noticed over the last few weeks, it seems that when you look at the review page, it's already filtered by verified reviews. So if you want to see the unverified, you have to drop down the menu and select all. And also added to that, as far as I understand, is that they don't count the unverified reviews to your score anyway. So the biggest impact what will happen to you is that the volume of your reviews will go down. So what will Amazon implement next? Well, we don't know this because we don't have a crystal ball, but if people abuse the email system like we were showing you earlier on, they'll probably get banned as well. So that'll spoil it for everything else, for everyone else. So ironically, you're not allowed to exchange a promo for a review, but you can pay Amazon handsomely via Vendor Central to join the Vine program. That's, of course, if they'll let you in. Okay, so thank you for today. There's some information on our meetup groups, our Facebook group, our YouTube channel. You can reach me, Danny, at theamazonseller.com and Anthony at theamazonseller.com. Thank you. Any questions? What's that?
We have a couple minutes for questions if folks have questions.
Okay.
Sorry, the mic didn't go on. Any questions? I know it's been a long day. If not, that's okay too. Then I only have 3 public service announcements. Danny, thank you very much.
No.